Welcome to Daily Diaries for our first episode of the Founder Series From Ideas to Impact. At Daily, we're on a journey of building a business. We're figuring things out, we're making mistakes, but we're learning every step of the way. And we know that we're not alone in this. So we're launching a series to have real, honest conversations with business owners who've been there. Our goal is to learn from them, to share insights with you, and to continue to build a community of high performance individuals from all spaces and places. We want to support each other along the way, and we think this is the best way to do that. To kick off the series, we're sitting down with someone who merges both of my worlds, sport and now business, what it takes to build a brand from the ground up. Darcy Haggith, founder of Grupo Nutrition. As a founder and CEO, Darcy has built Grupo from being a company initially specializing in endurance nutrition products designed to help athletes perform at their best, to now expanding his market to include athletes of all ages and products, to add nutrition in everyday choices, like Polar Joe, the world's best, no bias, protein-enriched coffee. Darcy recognizes the need for high-quality, tested nutrition products in the athletic community and chose to do something about it. With a focus on creating products that not only are effective, but also safe for athletes at all levels, Darcy has grown Grupo into a household name for all Canadian athletes. Moreover, the story of Grupo and Darcy's journey from traditional career to entrepreneurship is filled with valuable lessons on resilience, adaptability, and staying true to one's values. We can't wait to start this conversation, and we welcome Darcy.
Thank you. It's great to be here, Jenny.
Yeah, we're really excited. And again, going over your story and learning about how you went from hesitantly starting a marathon to building this amazing company is something we hope we can convey through this conversation.
All right. I think we should start that I wouldn't exactly say that Grupo is a household name, Grupo and Polar Joe. I mean, I think we will get there. Still, there's still lots of growth ahead. And yeah, I would love for it to be a household name. So that's the goal.
All right, well, we'll bank on manifestation and putting it into the universe with that one. I should be more specific in saying, for me, it's my household name. Thank you for clarifying. And yeah, it will, because I know it's great. We'd like to get right into what inspired you to jump from a traditional career to starting this amazing company. And what was the defining moment? Because there tends to be a defining moment in making that jump.
Well, you know that my endurance pursuit started over a handshake at a Christmas party, having a beer, and I agreed to do a marathon. So I had done some endurance, but never anything as structured as the training that would be for a marathon. A friend of mine had been doing them, had a little bit of experience. We agreed. It was Mother's Day 99 and it was Christmas. So it's December and we had until May to get ready for it. That was a defining moment for me to get into the endurance world. That's my happy place. I'm all slow twitch, so really good for the long haul. It was really through my Ironman days that this opportunity came about. So I used a product. So you know that we were formerly Infinite Nutrition as a customer in 2005. I finished my 2004 Ironman. I think that was my fourth or fifth. And I just knew that nutrition was holding me back. I had the will. I just didn't really feel like I had enough energy out there to get it done. They often say in Ironman that it's the fourth discipline, nutrition. For me, I knew that mine wasn't optimized. So I heard about this company called Infinite. They were doing some good things. So I tried it out. And almost instantly, it made a huge difference in how I trained, how I felt when I was training, how I recovered. And I knew that that's what I needed going forwards. It was just ahead of my race in 2006 that my nutrition didn't get across the border. So, understand it's a white powder. Sometimes things just don't clear as fast as others. And I was afraid. I was really nervous. And it was 2 weeks out from Ironman. You put, a year's worth of training. Like, what it's like to put, you put 3-4 years into a moment. I was doing it for, about a year before Ironman. So 2 weeks out, my nutrition didn't arrive and I called them up. I happened to get to talk to the owner and he said, don't worry about it. We're going to be at the expo in Lake Placid. We'll bring you your product. And I'm like, are you sure? He says, yeah, don't worry about it. So ahead of the race, I had to go to the expo, met Mike and got my nutrition and we had a little conversation. And honestly, Jenny, I can't remember the conversation. Something sparked me though, that he told me that customer service was really a challenge up in Canada. People didn't like the length of time it took. They didn't like paying for the shipping. We really need someone in Canada to run Infinite in Canada. So that was, I guess, the seed. And then we talked about having breakfast after Ironman, which, to me still didn't make sense. Like, why was I agreeing to have breakfast with him? But I had breakfast with him, and we decided that we were going to go and see his operation in Ohio and see if it was right for us. So that's in July of 2006. We opened our doors in November of 2006. And when we did it, I'm still employed as, so I come from the pharmaceutical industry. Most of my time was in operations, leading teams to make things, love working with people. So I had a little bit of background on manufacturing, so I was comfortable there, but I stayed with my career early on. And I think that that was really important for me. So we ran it in parallel and we slowly grew this business. So I would say that that's kind of the first defining moment. The next defining moment comes later on when I decide to go all in because I had my toe in the water, but I wasn't fully committed. So I still had this career. I loved what I did. I got to work with great people, but I really loved this thing too. You know, working with athletes, helping make them better, being part of their journey and being just around that community. It was just, it's a real happy place. But that happy place actually put a lot of stress on me because I'm creating a business in that happy place. I love it, but it's also competing with, you know, my 10-hour a day job. I was signed up for an Ironman in 2008. I didn't go because I didn't have enough training in me. My life was out of balance. Finally, in 2013, I came to a place. I was on a plane with Brenda, my wife. We were flying to a friend's 50th in Vegas, and we hadn't had the conversation before. We started the conversation when we took off about, hey, what would it look like if we went all in? Like me going all in, quit my pharmaceutical career, and put all my attention to that. By the time we finished the flight, we had a plan. It was all in Excel. I'm an Excel guy. And we agreed that I was going to give my notice on the very day, July 2nd, 2013. I would say that that's the real defining moment of the business. The catalyst would be, you know, being involved with Infinite Nutrition as a consumer and then romanticizing about, wouldn't that be cool if I could make my livelihood being around people in sport?
There's so many cool secondary stories in that story. I'm just going to go back to Mike. He said there was a really big issue in trying to get products to Canada and there was a delay. Now with Grupo, clearly you're servicing that country. What was the issue and how have you found servicing Canada now from inside? Have you met the same challenges?
I wouldn't say so. I would say one of the challenges is companies like Amazon, because they make it difficult for us to live up with the expectation that they create. So we're constantly trying to figure out how to get the product to the consumer faster. Early on, though, I mean, we were just, you know, little old Infinite Nutrition Canada, and we serviced only Canada. And I think we did a good job. We got a couple of breaks along the way. You know Susan Bogman. Susan called me in, I think, 2007, late 2007. They were looking for someone to provide them with, you know, supplements that were clean, free of banned substances, and would be tailored to the various needs of the athletes that they supported. I thought it was crazy that I got this phone call. Like, we're really small business at that point, like really obscure. And it turns out she was working with a triathlete that really liked us. So that was the connection. Back then, they didn't promote any sports nutrition at all. They just said, we're not going to recommend anything for fear of a legal challenge, right? So if someone recommended it and it was the wrong thing to recommend, then they would be liable. And that's the approach that they took for a long time. Like when we got on board, the only thing they'd recommend was chocolate milk. How insane is that? You know, for high performance athletes in Canada, we're only recommending chocolate milk. Milk's a fine product, but it's not the best for muscle health. So the protein that we use is because of the athletes like you that we support. What happened is I started to say, like, when I wanted a product, well, I want the best, so I'm going to use it. And then I started to think, well, there's other people that are going to want the best. And when I say best protein, what I'm talking about is the lowest in lactose, highest in leucine, highest purity, best tasting. Those things are all possible. And that's the backbone of everything that we do here at Grupo now. Like 85% of our business is protein first. And I'm so excited that we can help athletes like you get to your top performance, but we can also help, you know, a 40 plus individual just hold on to their muscle mass, be as healthy as they can be. The work that we continue to do, it's expanded across the nation, which we're really happy about, has introduced us to other researchers like Dr. Stu Phillips out of McMaster University. And I'll say what I've learned from Dr. Stu supporting the trials that we've done with him, and I've learned from working with all the members and the athletes, really shaped who we are as a business. And that's what we offer. It's kind of like the F1, that car that goes around the track. You and I will never drive in an F1 car, I doubt, but the technology of that 2 million or whatever dollar car that is cascades down to the vehicles that we drive. And I think that that's an analogy of what we are. We work with the elite. And for a long time, Jenny, folks would say, well, that's not for me, that's for Olympians. And that was an obstacle for us, getting them to know that, well, just because it's really good for them doesn't mean it's really good for you. And we've crossed that bridge. And what we try to bring forth is products that are, good for you, but taste great at the same time. So I think I went on a little bit there, but
It's just, you brought up a really interesting point, because that's something else that we're finding in our research for how to best market this, is that how do you break the barrier between, no, it's not just for athletes. It's not a limiting factor that it's designed and tailored for athletes. It's the fact that they're using it means it's going to be just as good, if not better, for you. And it's interesting as well, seeing a shift in the general day-to-day population as far as those now being into fitness and being healthy in what their choices are when it comes to nutrition, and being much more vigilant about it. I know you said you serviced a small market for so long and you didn't know why Susan reached out to such a small company, but now more and more, I mean, that was 2007.
yeah.
And now what we're seeing is those who are doing it well and those who are doing it small but perfectly are much more attractive than the large mass markets who miss so many important markers of excellence. And with women, I'm going to speak specifically to women here, but women who are now starting to weight lift, and I've spoken to some experts in that field post-menopause who want to, like you said, hold on to their muscle, hold on to their strength, keep the longevity at the front of their priorities. They're going to be the ones turning to Grupo, and they're going to be the ones who say, okay, what's the most important for me right now? And it's going to be a high quality product. And those are the people who, will continue to build your foundation of Grupo, because they have a lot of values that align with what you have. So I think that's really exciting. But I just wanted to go back again quickly. Can we talk about how we went from Infinite to Grupo and what that process looked like?
We started out as Infinite in 2006. And we did all the great things that we did in Canada. And, we were our own business. When you first go into the partnership or, the relationship as a licensee, you think you're going to work together completely. But as time went on, part of, what happened with, our Olympic roots or, supporting Canadian Olympic athletes put us on a little bit different track where I saw the world differently. Than they did. And it doesn't mean that one is right or wrong. It was just a business decision that we were going to go a little bit in this direction, be more protein focused. And we didn't want to be seen as a commodity. We didn't want to ever fight on price. The sports nutrition world is very, very competitive. There's lots of fanfare. Our bodies haven't changed over, thousands of years, but we know that there'll be new products tomorrow. When it comes down to it, it's very fundamental. And we just take a very simplistic approach to it, research-based. And over time, I think we drifted a little apart, and we got to a point where we decided it would be best that, we don't work together. And it was a bit scary when we did that, because everybody in Canada up until March of 2022 knew us. It was Infinite Nutrition Canada. And now we were going to go over here to Grupo. So we worked really hard to preserve all the great things that we did: Infinite Ride, Infinite Run, Infinite Repair, Infinite Rescue. So when we made the change, we were able to preserve all of those names. So it was an easy leap for our customer base. We communicated very carefully with them what we were doing, why we were doing it. And we figured that we would pull the majority of our clients with us, like 95%. And we never missed a beat. So we were very, very fortunate. And at the same time that we did Grupo, that we have a sister company called Polar Joe. And it's when we were under Infinite, we created Infinite Cold Brew, protein iced coffee, and we sold that amongst all of our sports nutrition products. Our athletes would buy it, but then other people were finding it that maybe didn't identify as an athlete. And we felt like our site was a little bit intimidating to people that weren't into athletics. All they want to know is there's protein in it, tastes great, and it's going to be helpful for me. So if you go to Polar Joe, it's a much friendlier lifestyle, healthy vibe, and it's very simple. And it's where we do all of our protein iced coffees or matcha. So we run these two brands. We do a little bit of iced coffee on Grupo. We call it Grupo Joe because some of the athletes still want to buy it from one site. When we launched both, it's been a ride because success brings challenges. When you grow, you need cash, and it's been eye-opening. You want to grow, you want to grow, you want to grow, and then you grow, and it's like, how am I going to do this?
I love to get into that. Like the goal of any company is, like you just said, you want to grow, but growing comes with, as much as it comes with learning, it comes with so much more opportunity to fail. So what is your like North Star? What is your raison d'etre to keep growing no matter what obstacles are thrown in your face, other than the fact that you have the DNA of an athlete and you'll get through anything?
Yeah, I think, there's a book, I don't forget who wrote it, but The Obstacle is the Way. And I think it's an excellent book. And there's always going to be obstacles. And it's how we find ourselves around, through, over these obstacles that put us in the best position for the next obstacle we're going to encounter. So that's all this is. The other terms are, fail often, fail fast, learn from them. Those are all lessons that put us in a better position for the next time. What do I want to see in the future? My absolute passion, not everybody knows this. Anybody close to me knows this. I love working with athletes like you. There's just so much pride in getting you guys and being a small part of what you guys can do. And there's so much pride when I watch. I'm a geek when it comes to sport, and that all really excites me. But I'll tell you what excites me more is I wanted to be a doctor when I was a kid. So I went to Western, good grades, solid B+ student, but that doesn't get you into med school. So I really wanted to go to med school. I love caring for people and working, to help people. And I didn't get to do that. But I find myself now in a position where I can help more people with my knowledge that I've gained by working with folks like Stu Phillips, and the effect that protein can have on longevity and the way we live our lives. It's important to live well while we're living long. And that's my absolute passion. And I've learned things that we didn't know, and most of the world doesn't know in North America. Well, let's go back to a story. So first time you and Jill sat down with me, I asked your protein number. And you guys did not have an answer for me on that day. And I was like, holy. So most people don't know their protein number. You as an athlete would be much higher. It's probably around 2.2 grams per kilo of body weight. Someone like myself, decently active. As soon as you flip over 40, you need 1.6 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. So my 180-pound frame, 80 kilos, means I need 130 grams. I need to space that out through the day. That 1.6 grams per kilo, plus doing a little bit of resistance exercise, that is the holy grail. That is longevity. If you do that consistently, you move, bit of resistance, maybe a little bit of flexibility work, and get the right amount of protein in, your life's different. So that is what I want to get across. And I feel like we're in a position as a business, we make products that are yummy. They're enjoyable first, but they're functional. And that's the space that I really want to live in. I want to affect how people live into their years. So I'd love to grow the business, bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm not really fueled by money and all of that. I just want to continue to earn the right to do what I do. If some point I get to be in front of people more often, conveying messages like, we're talking about right now, that'd be my dream, because we can help so many people. There's such a knowledge gap there.
This is such valuable information, because what I'm hearing through our entire conversation is this ability to just cut through the noise. And for every generation, there's just, like you mentioned earlier about sort of the direction of sports performance nutrition, there's so much noise. There's so many things you can have for swimming, and so many things for biking, and so many things for running. And plus you top that off with your everyday noise that comes from living in 2025. And it's so overwhelming, and there is no promise of a peaceful sort of tool or just something that's very simple that will actually give you everything you need. And the three things that you said about resistance training, 1.6 per kilo, and some movement, that, like you said, that is the holy grail. And that's not being advertised because it's boring and simple.
I won't get political, try not to. It doesn't pay any bills. If I had trained as a doctor, back a long time ago, I'm 57 now, it would have been 1 to 2 weeks on nutrition. And the rest of the time is on treating, work in pharmacy, how to cut. There's not a lot of prevention. And what we're learning today is that it is easy to affect a lot of what ails us. There's stats out there that 50% of what ails us, will kill us, is preventable through health and diet, health and lifestyle. It's not, it's not exciting. Like, you can buy a magic pill that's going to be exciting and people get behind that.
Yeah.
This is just as magical because it's a journey. And I help people in this space. And it's so fun watching them connect with food. Like when they learn that food is the energy that they need to propel themselves in whatever they choose to do. So, whenever you make the connection that food is fuel, then it changes. It absolutely changes. And the only thing I sprinkle on that is just make sure you get enough protein in.
I just think it's such a simply powerful message because when you hear that message, you almost have a sigh of relief. Because A, if it's coming from someone from your seat, you know it's backed in real evidence and backed in science and backed in actual data. And the fact that someone in your position can say something so simple with such assurance then delivers the message of clarity that, hey, this is all you need and it will change your life. We live in such a world of magic pill, magic injectable, magic training program, magic new workout, yada, yada, magic this, magic. And it's just like exhausting. Even from an athlete perspective, looking into the future, it's like, where do you even look? And being able to take a step back and say, okay, there is very simple information out there for me. I just need to access it.
Yeah, I think we all have to do our own research, right? So there's a lot of skepticism, right? So I represent a company that sells the very stuff we're talking about, but I'm the first one to say, get all of your protein from real food. Go get it from real food. And only then, if you can't get to your number, that 1.6 grams per kilo, then look at someone like us or someone that's doing either us or someone that's doing something like us. If I can help people make the shift, regardless of whether they choose us or not, I'll feel good about that. We created a site to help with this. It's called proteinperday.com. And when you go there for the first time, you put in your weight and it tells you your protein number. So there's the information. And then it tells you how to get it from real food. What normal foods have for protein levels, and there's research there. There's news about protein. There's so much news about protein now and research. So we try to assemble it so you can see it, unpack it. But people have to make their own decision. The first study that we did with Dr. Stu Phillips, just like it's the one that just absolutely blew my mind and opened my eyes. So 73-year-old male population, they were trying to halt sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is age-related muscle loss. So it's a natural process that as we age, we lose muscle mass. When you get into your 70s, it jumps up to 13% muscle loss from wherever you started that decade. We see it all around us where people get old, they lose muscle mass, they lose mobility, and bad things happen. But you also see these other ones, these outliers that continue to be, how do they do it? This study, I believe it was 12 weeks long, and they asked us to put together a formulation that had 25 grams of protein. It had creatine, it had calcium and vitamin D, plus we sourced an omega-3 for it. So twice a day, they got this 25 grams of protein in addition to their real food. And they were just hoping that there would be no muscle decline in that 12-week because there's always decline. 73-year-old male population, it's fully randomized clinical trial, double-blinded, placebo and active. The active group with resistance exercise gained 1.2 kilos.
In 12 weeks?
12 weeks. And my mind was blown. Like, oh my gosh, it's never too late to make the right next step. That's what this study taught me. That's why I'm so excited to be in the seat that I'm in. We help people every day, and that's where I want to be. And that's where I think the growth of the business is.
I love that because it's, again, the most underserved market that is out there right now. I mean, you get past, my gosh, probably past 40 and people don't care, right? We don't want to get political, but that's when the medical world comes in and they have all these, oh, you fell, here's a solution. Oh, your bones are brittle, here's a quick fix. And it's nothing to prevent any of that. And it's nothing to keep living the life you want to lead. It's sort of, as you deteriorate, here are some band-aids along the way until your final place. And it's sad, but I have in the passion that you bring to speak to it because people who are sort of away from the norm of the deterioration, beacons of hope for everyone else.
I think you're seeing that, Jenny. You're seeing people saying, well, what are they doing? And what used to be like any curve of acceptance, there's these early adopters, and then people start understanding, hey, look at this thing that they're using, and then it takes off. We're still in the early adopter phase of protein and the types of numbers that I put forth. I think that there's a lot of hope and excitement that people are starting to get it. You can see when you go into a grocery store, how many times do you see on the box? So we're starting to get there, that people understand it. If they could understand that, if they get the right number of grams of protein in their diet, plus they do a little bit of resistance exercise, because those two things go together to really help, be well into your years.
This will be an interesting conversation, but what we're trying to build at Daily is a bra. It has nothing close to the similarities of nutrition, but the people that we're trying to serve are the same people, because the bra is designed for women with broad backs and small chests. Women post-menopause lifting heavy weights for longevity to stay fit, those are the women that we want this to be attractive to. And we're so excited because we're seeing a 32.2% growth in women after having a fit lifestyle just within the past decade. So that's quite cool, honest to God.
Absolutely.
But just going back again to your business quickly, these decisions and your commitment to help those who may not give you the best return on investment per se, and you're going to be missing a lot of opportunities for large sums of money because you're doing things a certain way that are truer to your values than what, flashbang is currently trending. Why do you choose this?
Well, I think you have to constantly reflect and look at your business. And I'll say that as much as we love working with endurance athletes, the life cycle of an endurance athlete, so someone that's going to be doing Ironman, they don't stay in it for a long time. Then we have to go get, new customers. And we found that it was expensive to get a new athlete on board, and they didn't stay with us for the long haul. And that's because we didn't give them products that supported them in their everyday life. So if you go to Grupo now, you'll see Grupo every day. And those are the products that could become staples regardless of what you're doing. And the shift came because of working with you guys. And to be honest, Susan asked me a long time ago, will you give us just the plain protein? Why, Susan? Why do you want to do that? She says, because we can fortify other foods. So there's a lesson for me and things that I do today now. So we took that product that wasn't a product, and then we branded it, I think maybe in 2014. We called it Infinite Raw, just through a quick conversation. And game changer.
I can confirm that to this day, Susan is adamant about adding bra in pretty much anything that is a substance. She was like, just put it on a spoon and get it.
And it is so easy. And we decided that whole space of just endurance is super, super competitive. It's hard to stand out, and the life cycle was short. So we were taking the knowledge that we were gaining while working with folks like CSI and Dr. Stu, and we were morphing who we wanted to help. Luckily, who we want to help makes really good business sense. And we're not the cheapest. We can't be, but for us, that's the space that we want to play. One of our values that's behind me, you can't see it, is to tread lightly. I will say that has caused us not to grow as fast as we may have. I was sitting in this exact spot when there was a broker that gets products into Costco. He fell in love with our cold brew, and he said, this has got to go into a plastic bottle. It's got to go into a ready to drink. And I looked at him and I said, that's not going to happen. What do you mean? Why not? I said, because it's going to go into a plastic bottle that's going to end up in the landfill. I said, that's not right for the planet. And I said, it's also not good to ship water. We all have taps at home. Just take the powder, put it in. It's convenient. And he looked at me, and I live on these words. I love that he said this to me. He said, convenience trumps the planet. Wow. What a statement. And if I had went into, and Jenny, I'll be honest, I explored cans, aluminum cans, because aluminum can be recycled, infinitely. So it's perfect, but it did not address the fact that I was still shipping water. So I couldn't get there in my mind. So there's where we stick to our guns on it. And I think for the long haul, it's always what feels right in the heart. And at the end of the day, I just want to earn the right to do what I do. Yeah, I run a business, but it doesn't feel like I work.
That's awesome.
Like when I was back at AccuCaps, that's where I worked. It was a bit of a grind. There was lots of stress. The stress that we have here is stress figuring stuff out. How are we going to pay for all of this? We're just about to get into a distributor in the States. Super exciting. Polar Joe, matcha and cold brew. It's going to be sold in 70 grocery stores. We're pumped. But that brings stress, but it's a positive stress. How are we going to get this done? How are we going to pay for it? We just got into winners as well. So super cool things. But every time you make that step, there's some challenges.
I'm going to go back to the sustainability aspect and your commitment to because that's something that we're also doing. And I'm learning quickly that it comes at a great cost as well, just in production overall. But I have to say, as a proud Grupo consumer and will be for life, I'm so much more proud to know that the company that I use and I've relied on for so long has values like that, because that was a huge opportunity. Costco's giant. And you said no because you know that that's not the correct way to proceed as a company who wants to stand by what they believe in. And that's foregone by so many other companies in any sector, really.
Just after we started doing what we're doing, a company came, Bruce, I think is how you say it. It's a decent product, and it's in a ready to drink Tetra. And they've scaled. They're in Walmart, they're in Costco, but yeah, that's just not something I want to be involved with. I think that there's another way. But there's lots of people that like that and are consuming that. So I think you'll see over time, people, as pressures get a little tougher on the planet, will make maybe more informed, better decisions. But you have to stand for something, and yeah, that's our deal. And we're not done yet. If I was to hold up a bag, our bag is made of plastic right now. It's about 20% of the plastic that's in a tub that we used to use a long time ago. We moved to plastic pouches, but now what we're trying to do is move to a recycled that's made of recycled material and is recyclable. So those are the studies that we're going through right now, shelf life studies, and there's lots of work to prove that the product's stable. That's the challenge in that bag. And then the next phase is make a compostable film, a film that gives you the moisture protection you need for a product like us, and then you just let it compost. But I think that's probably 2, 3 years down the way. But because you have this value, this compass, if you will, you're always looking to align with that. I worked for Pfizer back in the day, and we had core values, and those core values were part of everything that we did. It was important for me that we had values within the business. And I think I got a few strange looks from the team, like, why do we need these? I'm like, no, just trust me.
No, no, values are instrumental in creating anything with longevity. I mean, just from my experience as an athlete, if you don't have your why, if you don't have your values, you have no direction. And things move so fast in the world that you need something to stabilize yourself and reflect on. In your darkest moments, you need it. And in your brightest moments, you need it. And I appreciate how you probably got some weird looks, but I can expect, and I do expect, that now people kind of come into your office and look at the board and like, okay, right, and move on, because it's a grounding.
Jenny, we do it all the time. Like we'll say something, well, no, it doesn't align to that value.
Yeah.
That's not making it right. So one of the values is making it right. Customer doesn't get their product because there's a post strike, and we have to send another $200 worth of product on our dime. Well, we got to do that because the customer didn't get their product. We've got to make it right. So these always form a discussion point. So that's what I like about them.
I do want to go over your values now. I just am curious, in this value commitment, have you seen a given return? Have you seen that your customers and people you worked with have recognized your values and honored it back?
I don't know that many of our customers would actually know what our values are, but they experience our values in the way we behave. So I would say that they result in, a positive feeling for them, but they wouldn't understand why. So, behind me, I don't know what shoulder it is, maybe my right, honest and transparent. Like everything that we do, we're going to be honest and transparent. It may not get us a sale. Maybe we screwed up, but we'll be honest about that. We'll be transparent about it. So I don't think you pay, or you choose a product because a company has good values. I think you choose a company because you get the right customer experience, you get a good value of product, and all of those things are kind of an outcome of following good values.
Yeah. So the values that you have, for those who are listening, do you want to go over them, or should I quickly go through them?
I can go over them. I don't know if I'll get them in the right order, but there's make it right.
Yeah.
Which is an obvious, and I kind of just talked about it a little bit. It's not just like we have procedures, policies, how we make our product. They have to be made to a certain standard, like that we certainly do. But it's about those customer interactions as well, making it right with them. So thinking outside of the box, we can't just do it the same way every day. So it's important for us to be creative and not just follow what everybody else is doing, and pursue some of these things. Like iced coffee was thinking outside of the box. And when you think outside of the box, there's shifts that can be made. Joyful excellence. I promote this. Like, I want to have fun. We have to have fun here. Um, it can't be mundane. It can't be all real hard work. Yes, we do something really important, but we have to have fun doing it. Honest and transparent. That's obvious. I just talked about it. Behind me is tread lightly. It's core to what we do. I never want to do something at the expense of the planet. And then earning respect. So, and we don't just earn respect once, we earn it over and over again by continue to do what we do. So it takes a long time to build a reputation. Takes a very short time to lose it, to gain a bad ones. Yeah. So those are the things that are important to, the people I get to work with here and me. And yeah, it's lots of fun.
They're also well positioned to be individual yet working symbiotically together. In the essence of thinking outside the box, have you ever thought about changing any of them or adding one in?
No, we haven't. The one that's not on there that we had when I was at Pfizer, and I thought it was a really important one, and we live it, but it's not a value, is community. I think your community is really important. My community exists of people like you, Canadian Sport Institute, the research community, the athletic community, and the business community here, the business community in Canada, and now into the States. So I think your community is super important. And I think we have to do well for the community. Like, we have to be good stewards of and doing the right thing. On the wall over there is as a business, many of us rappelled down a building, show us you're brave, super scary. We raised $10,000 and we were not all of us repelled on that day. We had 5 that repelled, and then everybody was there though. And we have the best group photo afterwards. They all came to cheer us on. And yeah, I think we have to do things for the community as well.
Yeah, I would never rappel down a building. That sounds terrifying. But I'm glad that you had someone who would. I would cheer. I'd be like, yay.
Yeah.
No, that's wonderful. I just feel like there's just so many good things about how you've gone about building Grupo into what it is today that could be learned from people listening about not hard, fast, all at once. The beauty in a slow burn is the peace that you get from knowing that what you're putting yourself in front of and behind is something that you don't have to waver or have any like inklings of, oh, I don't know if I'm okay with this, or I don't know if this is the best representation of who I want to be and grow to be. And I think that's something that not many people in a lot of businesses can do.
Yeah. Well, I'm lucky that I have one main partner. He's actually in Chicago, John. He's the guy behind everything visually you see. He's got such a great mind. He named Grupo. He came up with Grupo. Like Grupo, I remember he presented and he said, just let it percolate. Don't respond yet. I'm still working on it. And he says, I'm thinking Grupo. Grupo is about being around like-minded people, like your group or your tribe. And he says, that's what I want to create. And he says, I want it to be scripted. So that's what I'm visualizing. We're yin and yang, because I'm like a spreadsheet, I'm scientific, and I'll come up with harebrained marketing ideas and he'll just roll his eyes at me. So it's like, it's so much fun. I do some of it now on purpose just because I know it aggravates him, but he's a wizard. So together, the two of us, our yin and yang nature are really good for this business. We're lucky to have one another, and lucky enough that we have a group of individuals that choose to work with us every day.
Yeah, it just changes your life, essentially, being able to go to a place that you can say isn't work, but you get to go to and it happens to be what your work is. It's just a different mindset, a different life, really. But in saying all that, for people like me or businesses who are just starting out and are sort of getting a funnel hose of how-tos and know-hows and don't do this, don't do that, or do this, do that, what would be your maybe 1 or 2 pieces of advice for anyone starting something new and it's just seemingly overwhelming, but also very exciting and wonderful at the same time?
Yeah. That's a big question. I think you touched on it earlier. You have to know your why. The person that taught me about why was Simon Sinek. He says that people don't buy how or what you do, they buy why you do it. And I think that's super important, and being aligned to your why. If you get aligned to your why, then you can always feel good about what you're doing. I never feel like I'm trying to sell something. We do great things. Here's an opportunity. And maybe you'll see value in it. Like, I don't have to sell. And that's the really cool thing is I believe in what we do so strongly. And I believe it helps. I know it helps people. Like that's my why. So get aligned with your why and know that it's impossible to do everything that is in front of you. There's a really good book, How to Eat the Frog. He starts out by saying that there's never enough time to do everything that you need and want to do. And that no truer statement than that, especially in our day and age. The trick is finding the things, the priorities, the things that are most important that align to that why. So, allow you to do what you want to do. So you have to do some critical thinking, reflect, and it'll change over time. It's good to come back to it and say, well, these are my biggest priorities. We can't do it all. Sometimes you have to say no to a product, even though it's a great idea. And sometimes you have to say no so you can make the most out of what you're doing. Sometimes you have these shiny things over here. I think it's important to come back. It's important to work on your business sometime, not always in your business. So take a step back and making sure you're taking time to make your business more efficient, better, not always just head down doing, because there's always better ways to do the things that we do, within our roles. So I think that I think we have to fail in our businesses. And what I mean by fail is we have to try things. When you try something, there's an opportunity to reflect. So you try it and then you learn from that, you adjust from that. Just as, if we're doing a social media campaign, we try it enough so that we know that it's a representative of, the opportunity, and we see how it goes. And then we'll tweak it. So I think always, doing things, reflecting, and learning from that reflection, whether you want to repeat it or change it. And it's just a constant cycle. Listen to your customers. I can tell you that so much of what we are, who we are, is because of our customers, just because we heard our customers. So if you look at the Polar Joe side of things, we started out with just a plain iced coffee. Then Melissa Bishop is nursing or pregnant. And she said, Darce, you know how much I love cold brew. Can you make it decaf for me?
Yes, Melissa.
So we made it decaf for her originally. And then I got Movati is a big customer of ours. And, they got all kinds of locations. But one of the managers, same situation. She didn't want the caffeine. So I said, well, we're doing this for an athlete. So we did that. And then we started to hear about it. So then that was the second one. So now we have decaf. So we got the two going. Then someone said, like a bunch of customers said, well, I really like the concept, but I don't like coffee. I'm not a big coffee person. Could you do matcha? Like, I don't even know what matcha is. So go investigate and do all the research and find the best. So we use a ceremonial grade. So I go deep with everything that we try. So then matcha comes, and then people wanted flavored versions. Then we wanted the low sugar version. So I think it's important to listen to your customers, but listen to the core customers. You can't just always be making knee jerk because the customer says this. Just listen to generally what your customers are saying, and they'll take you where your business needs to go.
That's amazing. I think those are the best parting words I could have asked for this. Yeah. Thank you so much. Those are the questions that we had, and I feel like you gave us so much more than I could have asked for in terms of a variety of areas of Darcy's life, and then Grupo Future, just a really cool picture of everything. So yeah, I guess first and foremost, thank you so much. And then also for anyone listening, obviously, how can they find Grupo? What's the best way?
We run two separate storefronts. If people are buying online, which is super easy, you just go to grupo.com or polarjoe.com. So those are the two websites. We're easy to work with. We're starting to see a little bit more presence in Canada. So we're in MEC. We'll be delivering to the TJX group. So that'll be Winners and such. We're putting a big push on Canada Made. So with independent grocers, we're reaching out to them, letting them know who we are. Moments like these allow folks to discover what they didn't know. And not many people know that this great Canadian entity is doing what they're doing and would probably help the very customers that they serve. So we hope to be in a little bit more. I'd say the last thing is not related to buying or, accessing a product, but I would really encourage people to go to proteinperday.com. It's just the science is here. We need to be doing a better job. If you're a high volume athlete, you need more protein. I love interacting with people. On our website, you could probably find how to book a consult. And right now, as we're the size that we are, like we're growing rapidly, but I will always make time to talk to customers. So we offer a Grupo consult, and I'll sit down with an athlete, just like I sat down with you and Jill, back probably 2 years ago. we'll go through a nutritional consult and we'll see how we can help you, whether it's endurance, whether it's something wanting to change your body composition, whatever it is, we can help.
Amazing. Okay. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to our first episode of the Founders Series, From Idea to Impact. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who's on their entrepreneurial journey. We'll be back with more conversations like this in the future. And for now, Darcy, thank you so much for your time. And we look forward to continuing myself and hopefully those listening to enjoy your products and also watch for all the amazing things to come.
So it was a pleasure talking to you, and I wish you all the best and
Thank you.
be well.